The House has resumed. Members, when the House rose for dinner, the House was debating the South Taranaki District Council Cold Creek Rural Water Supply Bill and his second reading. David Clendon had the call. He has 3 minutes remaining, should he wish to avail himself of that opportunity. David Clendon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to take these final few minutes just to reiterate some of the points I've made earlier about the very poor process of the development of this bill, which is a major reason, one of the major reasons why the Greens are opposing it, despite having supported at first reading. We've heard some rather rose-tinted opinions from the government benches as to the engagement of community and others, the community benefits that will flow from this legislation, overlooking the fact that a very, very significant part of that community, that is the Māori community of Taranaki, have been ignored, excluded, overlooked, not engaged with. And these are terms that are taken directly from the submissions offered to the Select Committee by the affected party, the Taranaki Iwi Trust. They insist that the engagement with the marae who have signed off, the 2 marae out of who knows how many, did not constitute consultation or engagement. The level of this has been a project some 10 or 12 years in the making. We have read repeatedly from iwi and hapu, indeed, who ought to have been consulted, that they simply were not engaged with. And in this day and age, that is an unacceptable process. It's true that there is some credit to be given to the Select Committee. They have now belatedly inserted an amendment to Section 5, which at least will allow for a modicum of consultation. Sadly, it will only be about the detail of the process. The key decision has already been made, which is contrary to those basic principles of consultation which I referred to earlier, which is to say that consultation should be undertaken before the final decisions are made. And clearly in this instance, the opening phrases, the key provisions of the bill indicate that the single large decision, the fact that this asset will go from public into private ownership, clearly that decision has been agreed to, made, and there will be very little opportunity to reverse that from interested iwi and hapu. I suspect, in fact, that there will not be a great deal of pickup on this opportunity to be consulted with or to engage in a consultative process by Māori in this area, simply because it will be so marginal to the key issue at stake, which is whether or not those assets ought to go from public into private hands. The issues around precedent it could set for treaty settlements, for the privatisation of water assets, which are effectively undoubtedly will be part of treaty claims that are in train now, and reminding us that some of these entities that have made submission have been recognised by the Crown. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Paul Goldsmith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As someone who received